Curses are going to be on this earth until the end of time. But do we really believe them, or are they just something cool to read about? I did some digging on a few curses and found the ones that actually took human lives, just to convince some of you skeptics. I'm your host Andrew, and here are your top 10 real life curses that took lives. Number 10, the Busby stoop chair. In 1702, American Thomas Busby was convicted of murdering his own stepfather. Story goes that on his way to his execution, he requested one final thing. This request would be simply to have one last drink in his favorite pub. Nothing harmful, right? So the judge decided to let him do it. After the permission was granted, he decided to have a beer in his favorite chair at the bar. Here's where it gets kinda worse. After finishing his drink, he said aloud, quote, "May sudden death come to anyone who dares sit in my chair." He was then escorted right to his execution. His body would be displayed right outside of the inn for all to see. Over the next few years, death struck many who sat in the chair, leading the landlord to donate it to the Thirst Museum in England. To avoid anyone sitting on it, they suspended it 5 feet in the air to stop any future tragedy. Regardless, this chair looks super uncomfortable, so I wouldn't even want to sit on it if it wasn't cursed. At a number 9 spot, we have the Megabucks curse. In March 2000, Cynthia J. Brennan won the life-changing Megabucks jackpot at the Desert Inn. It was a total of $34.9 million in total. Tragically though, Jay Brennan was then involved in a horrific car accident just days after the win. The accident left her quadriplegic and ignited rumors that the Megabucks prize was in fact cursed. The flames of this legend were fanned even more in 2003 when it was claimed that an anonymous winner of the $1 million Megabucks jackpot at the Excalibur Hotel unfortunately passed away after an apparent drug overdose. Even though no official confirmation has come from winners losing their lives after winning the jackpot, many still believe in this Megabucks curse, especially the fact that they are trying to hide it all. Previous winners have allegedly passed away in plane crashes, passed in Los Angeles gang fights, and even suffered unexpected heart attacks. At a number 8 spot, we have the untitled painting. Okay, so you're not supposed to look at this photo for too long, and I'll explain why. This untitled piece is made by Zdzisław Beksiński. He was a Polish painter and had a very dark style of dystopian surrealism. Beksiński had an obsession with death, and he displayed it in the majority of his paintings, and it's said that death shortly became very obsessed with him as well. This is because in 1998, Beksiński lost his wife tragically to cancer, and only a year later his son would take his own life. So it's safe to assume that his life was filled with so much negative energy, hence all of his paintings. It's said that his negative energy transferred to the paintings because apparently when you look at the painting for too long, it not only gives off an eerie feeling, but may actually bring you closer to death. And that's exactly what happened to the artist Beksiński, because in 2005, he was found with 17 stab wounds, all because of an argument about $100. Scary stuff, right? Number 7, the cursed poem, Tamino's Hell. Published by a Japanese poet, Saijo Yasu, it said that one of his poems named Tamino's Hell is cursed and could kill or haunt people if read out loud. So just not to die, I'll be playing it safe and I'll just show you guys a poem rather than reading it. Yeah. In 1974, Japanese filmmaker Teraya Suji directed a movie based on Tamino's Hell. He ended up passing away in 1983. This is where people first started to believe the movie was cursed, since the poem was used and read in the movie. As time went on, people began forgetting about the incident. But then in 2004, one Japanese writer published a book based on the poem saying, quote, "If you by chance happen to read this poem out loud, after you will suffer from a terrible fate which cannot be escaped." It's said that even hearing someone say the poem out loud can lead your life into disaster and even death. Number 6, The Crow. In the 1994 movie The Crow, son of martial arts icon and film star Brandon Lee, portrays a murdered musician who is resurrected to avenge the deaths of himself and his fiance. Everything was going good in the movie, and this is a time when Bruce Lee's son could have had a breakout role for himself. However, tragedy struck production when the 28-year-old Lee was fatally wounded during a scene in which his character Eric Draven is shot after witnessing his fiance being assaulted. The prop assistant was unaware of the rule for inspecting all firearms before and after any handling, so that the barrel was not checked for any obstructions. The worst part about this was that it could have been prevented because supposedly the filmmakers showed up on set to a voicemail message that said bad things will happen if they made the movie. In the Humphrey list, we have the Kennedy family curse. This famous presidential family is cursed, and many of us already knew this. Literally every single generation of the Kennedys have been met with some sort of bad luck or misfortune. So best believe they have been cursed some way or somehow. Just to give a little scoop, John F. Kennedy's brother, Joseph Jr., and his sister Kathleen both passed away in separate plane crashes in 1944 and 1948. JFK, while serving as America's 35th president, was assassinated in 1963 at the age of 46. Robert Kennedy, who was JFK's younger brother, was assassinated in 1968. Then in 1984, Robert Kennedy's son, David, died of an apparent drug overdose. Then another son, Michael, died in a skiing accident in 1997. Then in 1999, JFK Jr., his wife, and his sister-in-law passed away when the small plane he was piloting crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. And that's not even all. Just know this family has everything to fear given their past. Number 4, the Okiku doll. Let me start this one off by saying that this haunted doll is worse than Chucky. Yup, I said it. The story starts in 1918 Japan. Older brother Aikichi Suzuki bought a doll for his 2-year-old sister Okiku. The doll had a black bob cut and a traditional kimono. His sister loved the doll so much that she even named it after her own name. These two would become attached like no other. But in the following year, Okiku became gravely ill and ended up surprisingly passing away. To commemorate her, her family put her favorite doll on her memorial shrine. Everything seemed fine until a few days after, they would begin to notice something very, very strange. The doll's hair seemed to be actively growing, and every time it was cut, it would keep on growing until it reached just above the knees, which actually happened to be the place where Okiku, the real girl's, hair stopped. Eventually, her family would move away, but choose to keep the doll in the same place, thinking that Okiku would have wanted it there. Now it resides in the Menenji temple, where it's said that the monks will cut the doll's hair regularly as it still grows. Number 3, The Omen. This is yet another movie that was plagued with a curse. First of all, Gregory Peck, who played the main character in the movie, lost his son shortly before filming began. Peck's aircraft and the scriptwriter and executive producer's planes were struck by lightning on their way to filming. Obviously, not that crazy. Then, the IRA bombed the hotel where the producers were staying at and a restaurant where the directors and actors were supposed to be eating during the filming. A tiger trainer who assisted with the filming of The Omen was also eaten alive by the same tiger. But the story doesn't end there. Following the completion of filming, special effects consultant John Richardson was involved in a car accident, killing his assistant. One time, Peck even canceled a flight he planned for unknown reasons, and this flight ended up crashing, killing all passengers on board. The date of the accident was cursed as well, as it took place on Friday, August the 13th, 1976. Number 2, the Ring of Silviana. This is a cursed ring that was first owned by a Roman man named Silvianus. This was a rather large ring with a diameter of 1 inch, so it was believed that he wore this on his thumb or over a glove. However, one day his ring was stolen from him. He believed it was taken from a man named Sinicanus. Silvianus then proceeded to place a curse on the man by heading up to a temple and creating a lead plate, naming it the Curse Tablet. On this tablet he wrote, quote, "For the god Nodin, Silvianus has lost a ring and donated 1/2 of it to the Nodins. Among those named Sinicanus permit no good health until it is returned to the temple of the Nodins." It is believed that whoever owns a ring will fall ill, get into accidents, or have things happen to them which would lead to everlasting suffering. At our number 1 spot, we have Tecumseh's Curse and the American Presidents. This is a curse that was given to the United States of America, Shawnee self-entitled prophet. This was after the Shawnees tribe's defeat at the hands of Americans after the Tecumseh War in 1810. And let me tell you that that war was really bloody and devastating for both sides. However, at the end of the war, one of the prophets placed a curse on all future American presidents. The curse stated that every future US president that was elected in a year divisible by 20 would suffer an untimely death in office. This list includes presidents like Abraham Lincoln, William McKinley, Franklin D. Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, but exceptions include Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush. However, Reagan got shot in an attempted assassination, and George Bush had a grenade thrown at him, but luckily didn't explode. And guess who's supposedly next on this list? 2020 elected Joe Biden. Well, these are the top 10 curses that took lives. What do you guys think about this list? And don't forget to like and follow the page for some more content. I'm your host Andrew, and hope you guys have a scary day.